Hi, I'm Chris Johnson. I'm the founder of Creation Liberty Ministries at www.creationliberty.com. We're now at .com. We've changed our location, our domain. If you had trouble getting there, I apologize for that. But today we're going to discuss the question, was Adolf Hitler a Christian? It's very interesting how common a question this is. You can type that question into Google or things like that. You're going to find all sorts of websites of people discussing the issue back and forth. Well, I'm going to go over some of the facts today, and we're going to get this covered. Now, as shocking as it may sound, there are some atheist evolutionists, even Jewish people out there, claiming Hitler was a Christian. It's very interesting on what basis are they doing this. Well, those often making the claim will quote the following from Hitler's book in Mein Kampf. He said, "Hence today I believe that I am acting in accordance with the will of the Almighty Creator by defending myself against the Jew. I am fighting for the work of the Lord." Interesting. Others will claim that Hitler was a Christian because he was raised Catholic. Well, we have two problems from all this. Number one, Catholicism is assumed to be Christianity, and that's not the case at all. Okay, just because they have a Bible and have a church, just because they talk about Christ does not mean we are talking about the same thing. Okay, and you have to be specific on that one. You can see my videos on Catholicism is not Christianity for more details. Because Hitler was raised Catholic, and he writes a sentence that includes Almighty Creator, does that make him a Christian automatically because he said it? Well, no. Well, okay, what if he says, "I'm doing the work of the Lord"? Does that make him a Christian? No. What if he says, "I am a born-again Christian"? Does that make him a Christian? No. Okay, you look for the evidence, and the Bible tells us that we're supposed to do that. It says in Matthew 7:20, "Wherefore by their fruits ye shall know them." Okay, we're supposed to look for the evidence, but oftentimes the atheists and humanists are content to just, take people's word for everything instead of looking through and studying it down to find out the truth. Now, when reading Mein Kampf, Hitler's racist and evolutionary beliefs are very clear. Some have argued that Hitler mentioned the living God in Mein Kampf, which is true, but the context in which he uses it references nothing to his true belief system. In addition, Hitler also mentions other strange gods. In some of the following quotes I'm going to read to you here, it says, "While the goddess of suffering took me in her arms, the gods had willed Austria's destruction." Here he talks about the goddess of destiny. Well, that's strange. Why is it all these websites that are claiming that Hitler was a Christian don't mention these quotes? Because to believe in these gods or goddesses would be idolatry that is in direct violation of Christianity. And that would be evidence against their argumentation, which they don't really have an argument on that one. Now, after reading these, but don't you wonder why they don't? Why don't they just post them? So at least people can see that, because there's an ample effort right now for the atheists, humanists, evolutionists, all that, to get rid of Hitler's genocide in connection with evolution. They're trying to disconnect the two and blame it on the Christians instead. There's a big, ample effort to get that done. It's not most people, it's some people. There is a group of people, of humanists, that are trying to make that happen. And if you look on YouTube, you're going to find all sorts of people who make those kinds of comments. Now, generally, the atheists and evolutionists do not discern a Christian based on the evidence, like we talked about a moment ago, but rather they base a Christian on whether or not a person says they are a Christian. And even today, that's not how we're supposed to make a judgment of people, of whether or not they're a Christian. So instead of looking for the evidence, they just take someone's word for it. Not only can we properly judge Hitler's actions in a foundation of evolution, but his hatred for Christianity rivals only that of atheists and humanists today. I'm going to show you some of the quotes, the things he said, and the documentation is going to be at the bottom of the screen here. "Christianity is an invention of sick brains. One could imagine nothing more senseless, nor any more indecent way of turning the idea of the Godhead into a mockery." That's Hitler who said that. "The heaviest blow that ever struck humanity was the coming of Christianity. The deliberate lie in the matter of religion was introduced in the world by Christianity. Let it not be said that Christian brought man the life of the soul, for that evolution was the natural order of things." You see what I mean? Hitler, in his delusion, may have honestly thought he was doing God's work, okay, by exterminating the Jews. But we know two things for certain. Number one, he believed in evolution, and he used that philosophy to justify his actions. Number two, he hated Christians and Christianity in general. Now, the actions, or the fruits that Hitler carried out against the Jews is in direct violation to biblical scripture. He can't be a Christian and do what he did. Simply claiming Christianity does not make one a Christian by default. As I've told the evolutionists countless times, believing something doesn't make it true automatically. However, Hitler knew he could use the Catholic Church to his advantage, and he did many times. There's all sorts of pictures you can find on my website of Hitler shaking hands with the Pope, and even the world's leaders today do that to try to make themselves. It's a political gesture basically. It's for the masses. And I have pictures on my website of Hitler walking out of a church with a cross over his head and things like that. And he used that kind of propaganda in the newspapers to try to gain momentum with the Germans. Now, many people will say, who are will argue with this, will say, well, that was accidental, or that was forced cooperation by the Catholic Church. Many Catholics claim this because they're trying to save what happened and not have to admit that there were some wrong things that were done then. Here's Article 16 of a concordant that was signed between Hitler and the Vatican in 1933. It says, before bishops take possession of their dioceses, they are to take an oath of fealty either to the Reich representative of the state concerned or to the president of the Reich, according to the following formula. Before God and on the Holy Gospels, I swear and promise, as becomes a bishop, loyalty to the German Reich, and to the state of. I swear and promise to honor the legally constituted government, to cause the clergy of my diocese to honor it. In the performance of my spiritual office and in my solicitude for the welfare and the interest of the German Reich, I will endeavor to avoid all detrimental acts which might endanger it. They were swearing, even though in the Bible it says you're not supposed to swear not at all, neither by heaven or earth. Yet, at the same time here, they are swearing to protect the German Reich. Even their churches, the Catholic churches, were converted to contain Nazi altars into them. You could get baptized into the Nazi religion. A joint pastoral letter from all German bishops was read from the pulpits January 3rd, 1937, stating that the German bishops consider it their duty to support the head of the German Reich by all those means which the Church has at its disposal. We must mobilize all the spiritual and moral forces of the Church in order to strengthen confidence in the Führer. They were focusing all their efforts to protect the German Reich. Now, with the Pope's support, now Hitler could operate full steam, gather all his political steam, get it moving, and then the Jews ended up getting exterminated. I mean, they were forced to work, in very hard labor camps. I mean, you would have the Nuremberg Theater, for example, was constructed because they would put the Jews to work 12 hours a day, lifting these heavy stone slabs, and if anybody fell over from exhaustion, they would just shoot them and kill them, drag them off, and put another one in. I mean, that's how they treated them. That is evolution philosophy that's based on. Hitler said in a public speech, he said, for us, he's talking about the Jews, it's not a problem you can turn a blind eye to, one to be solved by small concessions. For us, it is a problem of whether our nation can ever recover its health, whether the Jewish spirit can ever really be eradicated. Don't be misled into thinking you can fight a disease without killing the carrier, without destroying the bacillus. You see how he's treating the Jews, they were a parasite, a disease. This Jewish contamination will not subside. The poisoning of this nation will not end until the carrier himself, the Jew, has been banished from our midst. And this was justified based on his evolution philosophy. And we could talk for hours about all the horrible things the Nazi did, not just to the Jews, but to other people as well. A lot of different peoples. And Dr. Leo Alexander, he's a Jewish survivor of the Holocaust. He said there is a difference between those who look upon their fellow human beings as common creatures of a common creator, and those who look upon them as conglomerates of biologicals and chemicals. And that is very, very true. Okay, evolutionists often talk about one animal killing another to propagate its species, but they will not apply that same philosophy to mankind, and they shun away from conversations to talk about historical examples where those people have done exactly that. Hitler's genocide was a practical application of the evolution theory. And you can see our seminar number 5 for free on our website. You can watch it. That talks more about that. The dangers of evolution was what that's called. So is evolution the source of racism against things or murder against it? No, it's not the source of it. Racism and things like that have been around for thousands of years. However, Darwin's books simply added fuel to the fire by giving a justification for racist thought and action. And the Bible teaches the opposite of that. The Bible teaches in Acts 17:26, and he hath made of one blood all nations of men for to dwell in the face of the earth. There is no scriptural justification to be a racist, okay? But according to evolution philosophy, there is according to evolution philosophy, there is a justification for racism. You should see the Christian versus atheist debate, the Narrow Mind debate on our YouTube channel. Watch that and listen to the atheist perspective on how he justifies racism, and you'll see more information on that. But as a final thought here, this is a quote that's often hidden. A lot of times this is not quoted by any of you never hear this from evolutionists, but though Charles Darwin could not tell what kind of destruction his religious theory of evolution would bring, this quotation should be echoing down the corridors of history. Charles Darwin said, the support which I receive from Germany is the chief ground for hoping that our views will ultimately prevail. And we have seen that practical application in Hitler's genocide. So was Hitler a Christian? Absolutely not. And there is absolutely zero logical argument anybody can give to make Hitler a Christian. He was not a Christian. Okay. Now, if you want to believe that, you're welcome to your belief, but don't go around telling people that as if it's a fact, because you're lying to them to tell them otherwise. So I hope you all have a nice day. We're going to be making some new videos soon, and hopefully we'll see you next time. Okay.